Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you one book haul. So this book haul is actually a book haul that was done before I set my book buying budget, and this is the haul where I thought I've actually got to do something about my TBR. So these are kind of the last books that I got freely without my book budget being there, and I'm here to just show you the books that have joined my collection. So the very first one was kindly sent my way by Folio Society, and I'm very excited about it because it is this stunning, gorgeous edition of The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston, Leroux, and I have been currently reading this. I've only got 100 pages left, and I can tell you that I have very much been enjoying this book, and it is a very good read. As you can tell, it's just a gorgeous edition, and I have not even shown you the sprayed edges yet, which are absolutely stunning. But I am happy to say that the contents of the book inside are just as good and worthy of this beautiful edition because I am very much enjoying it. I was at London Book Fair, and the only book that I got from London Book Fair was Bitter by Akwaeke Emezi, so thank you so much to Faber for letting me have one. Bitter is the prequel to Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, which is this young adult book which focuses on a world where monsters no longer exist, but it turns out there is one last monster left, and our main character employs the help of her best friend and this magical creature that is called Pet to help her find the last monster in Lucille. I read it last year. It was one of the best books that I read in 2021. I loved it, I enjoyed it, and this is one of my most anticipated books of 2022 because I loved and enjoyed the first one so very much. And this one is a prequel, so it's set before Pet, where monsters are still loose and out in Lucille, and I'm just so excited and so curious to see where Akwaeke Emezi is going to go with this story next. The cover is absolutely stunning. It's got lovely gold foiling on it, and I'm very excited for this book. I'm pretty much sure I'm going to read it very soon. I was blessed to receive another one of my most anticipated releases for this year, and that is An Arrow to the Moon by Emily XR Pan, and this one is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, and yet it's Romeo and Juliet meets Chinese mythology. Doesn't that sound wonderful to you? As someone who is a Shakespeare fan, I am always eager to read any books with Shakespeare themes or Shakespeare retellings in them whatsoever, but I absolutely love when I get to see and experience other mythology woven into the story. The cover is stunning, again with the gold foiling. Publishers are knocking it out of the park, and I'm very excited. I went to The Works, which is a shop in the UK where there's some really good deals on books sometimes, and I actually try to avoid that shop because every time I walk out with a handful of books, and that is what happened this time too. So the first three books I'll show you all together, and that is the Unhoneymooners, Soulmate Equation, and Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren are an author duo who I have heard so much about in terms of writing romance books that are very good. And I've been meaning to try their books for a very long time, but when I saw that each of these were only £2, I couldn't resist, and I got all of these for £2 each. So the first one we have is the Unhoneymooners, which is the one I'm the most interested in reading because I love a book which includes a wedding, even if it's something that doesn't go down well. And in this one we follow two characters who I believe are best man and best woman, and they're at a wedding that doesn't go through, but the honeymoon has already been booked and paid for, so the couple say that they should go on the honeymoon instead, but these two people really don't like each other, so they are unhoneymooners on a honeymoon together, and it just sounds like a funny situation and like it's going to be a really cute romance. We have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, which is actually one that I heard about in my book blogging days many years ago, but I'm only getting to now. I've had it on my TBR wish list for that long. Do I know that much about it other than it's got some fake dating in it? No, I do not, but I do want to try it. And then last but not least, we have the Soulmate Equation, which is one I saw Chelsea from Chelsea Zhao really enjoying, and I thought if she enjoyed it and we tend to both really like some very good romance books, I might as well give it a shot as well. So I picked it up and I'm gonna give it a go, and I'm curious to see what I'm gonna think of Christina Lauren's books. There were also some other books with very good deals that I just couldn't resist, so I picked them up, and one of those is the paperback of Miss England by Stacey Halls. I have been reading Stacey Hall's novels since she debuted. I read a review copy of The Familiars, which I really enjoyed, and then I read The Foundling, which I thought was very good, and now I'm going to read Miss England. She writes historical fiction. This is her third novel, and all I know is that on the front it says there's no such thing as a perfect family, and that is enough. I just want to keep reading Stacey Hall's books, and so I'm going to continue doing so, and hopefully I will really enjoy this one as well. Up next we have Grownups by Marian. This is an author, an Irish author, who I've just heard a lot about her books over time, and I think I remember seeing Mariana from Mariana Casada reading this one and enjoying it overall. So when I saw it on the shelves for a very affordable bargain price, I thought I should get it and give this author a try once and for all. I've also seen that Leanne from Leanne Rose really likes her books, so I'm gonna give it a go. I don't really know too much, but I'm hoping it'll be a nice one for me. And then last but not least, the other bargain book I picked up at the works was The Girl with the Loudoun Voice by Abby Dare. And this is a book I've seen around for a long time, and I do like the title, but there was something about the cover that kept me off for ages. I know I was being shallow and I shouldn't be shallow, but I heard so many good reviews for this book. Everybody who's read it has really loved it and recommended it. And when I was watching the channel Well Traveled Books, she mentioned how much she loved this one from her Blackathon reading, and I thought, that's it! I can't hear any more fabulous reviews of this book without trying it for myself. So I went ahead and got a copy, and I'm going to read it, and I'm probably going to love it like everybody else. The next two books are very nice presents from Cara from Wild Book Garden, so thank you so much, Cara, for sending these my way. It was really nice of you to do that, and she sent me two books. I'm going to talk about this one first, and that is Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali, and this is a young adult contemporary. I know that it has Muslim Islamic representation in it. I know it's got some disability representation in it, I believe in the form of a chronic illness, and I know that Cara really enjoyed this book, so when she enjoys something, there's a high chance that I'm going to like it too, so I thought I will give it a go. It's actually the book that was the oldest one on my TBR wish list, so I'm so thankful to have it and really looking forward to reading it. As you may know if you've been around here for a while, I just read young adult contemporary fiction all the time. I don't know, since when I've reverted back to being a teenager, but that is what is happening. She also sent me Why You Should Read Children's Books Even Though You Are So Old and Wise by Katherine Rundell, and this is a short little essay on why adults should also read children's books and children's fiction, and it's gonna be one that I talk about very soon because I actually read it this morning before I started filming, and I really loved it and I really liked it. So I will talk about this more in a wrap up that's probably already gone up by the time this video is up. But I thought this was a very good essay, and I really love that Cara gave it to me because she helped me fall back in love with reading children's books. So it's very fitting as something that's a present from her. So thank you, Cara. As you know, I really enjoyed it and I really appreciate this gift. I got some books from other people's unhauls. They're proofs that they were just giving away for free because you can't resell proofs. And one of them is When We Were Birds by Ayanna, Lloyd, Banwo. And this is one that I've just heard very good reviews about. And it was one that I was very curious about when I first heard of it. So I am going to read it and give it a go. The cover is gorgeous, and hopefully I'll be talking about this one in more detail very soon. We have When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill, and this is a review copy. Thank you to the publisher for sending this my way, and I'm very excited to read this one. In this one, we're set in a world where spontaneously a whole load of women exploded into dragons and flew away. And this was kind of set during the suffragette time, so you can see how the dragons disappearing and flying off and doing their own thing is quite a big metaphor. I love a good metaphor in my books, but it's really looking at feminism and sexism and why these women decided to turn into dragons and fly away from everything they know, while simultaneously taking the time to look at the women who were left behind and what life is like now for them. Unhaul book was Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. I actually know very little about this book, but I've seen Dolly Alderton's books floating around all of the time and they've just caught my eye and I've been curious about them, so I just want to try one for myself and see what I think of it and see if I want to try more of this author. And then I have Beasts of Prey by Ayanna Gray, and this one is a fantasy book that sounds very interesting. We have Coffee, a main character who works at the night zoo and she accidentally lets animals loose and this burns down the zoo. And we have Econ, whose whole destiny and future is tied up in the night zoo, so when it bursts into flames, a lot of his future bursts into flames with it. And these two characters end up teaming together to try and find and capture an animal from the night zoo that disappeared into the greater jungle, which is a dangerous place. And it just sounds like a very good, nice, fun fantasy, and I'm always excited to try more fantasy books. It's been a bit hit or miss this year, so I'm looking for the one that's going to be my fantasy book this year. I was very excited to receive one of my anticipated releases for this year, and that is Disorientation by Elaine, Hsieh, Chou. And in this one, we're following a main character who wants to write her dissertation for her PhD and then leave all Chinese-y related things behind. She doesn't want to think about it anymore, and she is pursuing information on a certain poet, but she stumbles across something that is explosive and will change everything. And partnered with her friend, she kind of dives into this pool of research which is going to disorientate her from everything that she knows, and her rival is hot on her tails as she is trying to do this. And it just sounds so fascinating, and like it really looks at culture and identity and your relationship with those things, which are themes that I absolutely adore reading about. So I'm very excited to get into this book in particular very soon. I also received The Lamplighters by Emma Stonex. This is a historical fiction mystery that I've seen so many positive reviews for when it came out in hardcover, so I could not resist the opportunity to see if I could snag a paperback release and try my best and figure out this mystery for myself. It revolves around a lighthouse where people keep mysteriously disappearing, and it sounds very fascinating, and the cover is really beautiful. And I've been enjoying historical fiction a lot more lately since I've started reading Kristen Hanna, and I'm looking forward to trying more historical fiction. I've definitely been missing out because I took some time away from the genre. Hannah, who is my good friend from Hannah Ledet M, was unhauling some books, and she unhauled Foundation by Isaac Asimov and sent it my way. I've been meaning to try some Isaac Asimov. I thought I would start with iRobot, but seeing as this one was going free, I'm good to give the first book in the Foundation trilogy a try. I really enjoy science fiction. I think it's a fantastic genre. I think more people should read it, and there's so much we can get from it. But I do tend to fall into reading my comfort zone science fiction, which is very much Afrofuturism. And so I want to try and branch out, and I'm particularly interested in trying some of the science fiction classics and seeing what I make of those. So hence why I've ended up with a copy of Foundation. I was sent a review copy of Nothing Burns as Bright as You by Ashley Woodfolk. And this is a novel in verse, which I'm very much excited about. I love reading novels in verse. I think they are fantastic and great modes of storytelling. And this one focuses on two girls, and I've been promised a story of not only friendship but also romance. So I think there's going to be an FF relationship in this one. I'm curious, I'm excited, and I'm going to start reading this one today. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, which I am over the moon about and very excited for. So this one is a thriller, and it's kind of Alice Feeney taking on And Then There Were None, because we're following a family, the Darker family, who have not been together for a very long time. And when they get a reunion going on an island, the tide comes in, and by the time the tide comes out, one of them is dead. And it's a question of whodunit. I love a good isolated setting mystery, and it sounds like it's going to be dark and have complex family themes in it. I am here for it, I am excited, and I cannot wait to read this one in particular. And then last but not least, I got an unhaul copy of The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller. And this is a book that if you're in the UK, you will have just seen absolutely everywhere. People seem to love it, and truthfully, I don't know that much about it, but I did see that Emma from Drinking by My Shelf really enjoyed this one, and because of all the positive reviews from people around me, I want to give it a go and see what I think for myself. Curiosity usually gets the better of me when it comes to books that people are very much enjoying. And there you have it. These are all the books that I've recently gotten and I'm very excited to read. Please let me know in the comment section down below what was the last book you have bought, received, borrowed or acquired. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior! And this is a historical fiction.